Welcome back, everybody. It's your pal Lauren Chat here to bring you another Tuesday theme stream. We are on episode 22. We are now doing the themes of verses again. It is now originals versus reboots. And today's is Total Recall. So, yeah, the Arnold Schwarzenegger versus the Colin Farrell Total Recall versions. So with me in the chat, we got Real Nerdy Review, How to Do. I like both films. Actually, I do too. So this is actually going to be a interesting stream. Vanya, good to see you. Remake doesn't stand a chance. We will see. It all depends on how the analytics turn out. So also, folks, before we get started, if you want to support my channel, best to do, or that is best done through liking, subscribing, commenting, and sharing streams and sharing content, sharing the channel out. I'm still trying to get to 4,000 hours and still trying to get to 1,500 subs. So let's see how many I'm up to now before we get to anything else. So I got 5 more subs to go before I get to 1,500. So thank you to all who are subscribing. And now getting to the originals versus remakes, I got a talking points for similarities and differences for Total Recall. Also, I will be going through analytically, where I will be discussing the story, the cast, the writing, the effects, the acting, leads, and music score. Now, music score, I will get to that when we get to that specific when we get to the specific category. Actually, I think I like the other one better. It pops more. So, getting to it, we will start with the story. Now, a lot of people are thinking that both movies are the same story. That, or for this movie, or for these two movies, that's a common misconception not supported by facts, where it is the same basic story. Double agent saves humanity from, or saves the world or whatever through turning on the corporate business and whatnot. Yes, there's that. However, the stories are or do have similarities and differences, and that's what the similarities and differences here are for. Where both stories have an element where friends try to dissuade a trip from recall, the girlfriend who is a spy that tries to kill him, or wife rather. Names are the same. You got Douglas Quaid and Carl Hauser, Cohagen, Melina, Harry. Implanted memories 6 weeks in. Someone inside the agency helps him. Implant removal, where they got to take the implant out of them. 2 weeks, or there's the 2 weeks woman in both movies. There's the 3-breasted woman in each movie. Attempts to sway him back, claiming it's a delusion, and using the wife to try to dissuade him back. There's a girl fight between both the girlfriend and the wife. There's an escape and climax to the film. Information in the hero's head is also a theme in this. The end makes you question whether or not it was a dream in the entire thing. Notable differences: Laurie in the reboot is mixed with the Richter character from the original, where the wife and Richter are boyfriend girlfriend in the original Schwarzenegger one with Sharon Stone and Michael Ironside. Laurie and Richter are essentially merged in the reboot, where Richter just wanted to kill him, or wanted to kill Quaid. No questions asked. He was a blunt instrument just trying to kill him. And they actually merge that character with Kate Beckinsale's character of Laurie, in which Kate Beckinsale is basically on a murder mission and doesn't care about the rules. There's no Mars. There's just two world territories in the reboot, where in the movie there's Earth and there's Mars. And Cohagen is not a company exec, but a chancellor of the United Federation of Britain. Quato, the psychic mutant in the original, is not a psychic mutant in the new one. He is simply a resistance leader under the name Matthias. There are no mutants in this, or in the reboot. There's the deception of going through scanners. It has a different face, obviously. While he is conscious of his cover being blown at Recall in the first movie, before Recall messes with him and puts him back under, he is not aware of it in the remake. A stranger tries to convince Quaid that he is still at Recall in the original, Dr. Edgemar, where it is Harry, his friend, in the remake. Sweat gives away the lie in the original, where a tear does it in the remake. Gives away the lie of you're back in Recall, that moment. And instead of air being a commodity, which is in the original movie, on Mars, air is the living commodity. Space is the living commodity. Living space is that commodity in the remake in 2010s. I think it's either 2016 or 2017. So those are the major differences. Now, which story does it better? You have two different ways of telling this story. You have the Verhoeven way, which is the director of both movies like RoboCop and this movie, Total Recall. And then you have the Len Wiseman way, which is he has done Underworld and this movie, the Total Recall remake. Both movies are extremely well done. Honestly, I think that in this case, in this case, folks, and this is going to be a hot topic, objectively speaking, where you are looking at all of it and breaking it down and whatnot, the story is actually better in the remake. It is more believable. While the remake is a good movie, do not get me wrong, I do believe that the remake has a better story, or tells the story in a better way. Now, while it is while the movie is indeed based off of the original that Paul Verhoeven did or directed, the remake actually, in its director's cut version, is a much better told story. So, with that said, the reboot gets the first score. So right now it is 1-0. And the reboot is in the lead. So now we are going to move on to cast. Now, I have the cast pulled up right here. So let's pull up the cast. The total reboot or Total Recall cast for the original: Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sharon Stone, Michael Ironside, Rachel Ticotin, Ronnie Cox, Dean Norris. Anybody else? Yes, Roy Brocksmith. Those are all the ones I know from other works. Basically, if you have a cast and these casts are known throughout your life watching movies and whatnot, that is how I weigh it down. I count how many cast members I know from different movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger is obvious. I know him from many different movies. Same with Sharon Stone. I know her from many different movies. You got this. You have Basic Instinct 1 and 2. You have Catwoman. You have The Quick and the Dead. Michael Ironside. What movie hasn't he been in? You know, Rachel Ticotin. I know her from this movie as well as Con Air. Ronnie Cox I've seen him in at least 3 movies: Murder at 1600, Total Recall. What was the other one? RoboCop, the original. Dean Norris has been in, Jesus, what hasn't he been in some capacity or another? In this, he was Tony the Mutant or I've seen him in Under the Dome. He was a bit part in Terminator 2. There are so many spots. Roy Brocksmith, he has been heavy in this, or in the 80s and 90s. I believe he is now dead if they have his thing in black and white. And shame to hear of his passing. When did he pass on? But yes. You got this cast and then comparative. Well, before we go there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 for Total Recall 1990. And for this one, let's see here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So far, there's 9. Yeah, because I know all these actors from different works. I've known Colin Farrell throughout many years in different movies. Daredevil, this one, The Batman, Banshees of Inisherin, and a few others. Jessica Biel, growing up watching her in that what was it, Seventh Heaven show, plus her in a few other movies. The Blade Trinity. John Cho, I know him from the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. Bill Nye from Underworld movies, as well as a lot of those movies with Simon Pegg. Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and whatnot. Kate Beckinsale, Underworld movies. Bryan Cranston, I know him from a friggin' handful of movies here too. Will Yun Lee, I've seen him in Hawaii Five-0, Elektra, and a few others. Bokeem Woodbine, what hasn't he been in? Ethan Hawke, what hasn't he been in? So yeah, 9 off the top of my head. So it's safe to say that while you got great cast in both movies, I know more cast in the reboot than I do in the original. So the original is not doing too good in the analysis so far. Now we are going to go to writing. So let's X out of that. So far, let me show you guys the score. We have the original at 0 and the reboot of Total Recall at 2. Now, on to writing. When you are doing a movie in which you are going out to outer space and to a different planet, you're going to have to do some very good writing. And that was very superbly done. When you are doing the whole secret agent thing and writing a psychological mindfuck of a movie, like Total Recall is, you have to make sure that that movie is going to basically, you're not going to be able to tell if it's real or if it's fake. And the writing for the original is extremely well done. you don't know if it's real or fake, because both these movies have a character who is doing the whole secret agent thing, and yet who actually is a secret agent. So you don't know if they are really a secret agent going through a secret agent thing, or if they are still just at recall. You don't know. So both these movies actually do that very well. They have arguments against or for him still being in a recall chair, and arguments against him being in the recall chair, or against it being all about recall. So when it comes to the writing, you also have to show or have the twist, which is a payoff. And there's the trap that is set. When you have the trap that is set in the movie of the original, nobody is able to really explain how the who sprung the trap. I mean, yes, you have Benny, who is a traitor, but were they guarding Benny? Was Benny reaching out to the government or to the company in order to betray them? How did they know where they went? Doesn't make sense. So in the second movie, in the remake, you have nobody who is a traitor. They're literally tracking the black box inside of Colin Farrell's head. So yeah, they were always able to track him due to the due to the psychic implant, or the mnemonic implant rather, put in his head. It was basically a way, once it was accessed, they would know where to find him. But they were also able to track him as well. So in this way, you got writing that works and writing that doesn't. So when it comes to the writing that works, Reboot again takes another score. And I am not saying this or this does not necessarily mean that Total Recall is, or the original is, a bad movie, folks. Remember, we are still going through effects, acting, leads, and music score. So the original could indeed take the next score. So we have original 0 and Reboot at 3 right now. Now, the effects, when it comes to the effects of both these movies, obviously you have more updated effects for the Reboot. Now, everybody knows that you are going to have improved effects. However, you also have practical effects for the original. And yes, you also do have the digital effects too. But when it comes to full effects, meaning both practical and digital, you are going to have to measure both of these in the way of doing or telling a story. While you have practical effects with the robot sentry things, you have people in suits that are doing motion capture in order to run around and whatnot. Where in this one, you also have them when they get busted up. Obviously, you have a robotic limb here, a half a torso there, and whatnot. But mostly it is still digital effects. There's very little in the application of practical effects except for props. Now, in the original, you have digital effects. You also have practical effects, where you have puppeteering, where you have the face that comes off of another face, lifts it up and closes it, tosses it. Now, yes, if you pay close attention, you can tell what is a puppet of his face, or of many different characters' faces, especially during the depressurizing scenes. They look real. They look like this is actually happening to a person in real life. Yes, you know that they would be puppets. I mean, it does very much look like Arnold Schwarzenegger is ripping a thing out of his nose. However, you notice that with clever cutting, it's not really him taking something out of his nose. It is, in fact, a puppet. However, it looks very real. So when it does come down to it, the effects actually are going to the original, because the original has practical effects that looked very realistic. Bullet trauma and whatnot looked very realistic. Now, this is where the uh, reboot went sideways, because they wanted to focus on special effects heavy movie instead of a digital effects, or instead of a practical effects heavy movie, and therefore they couldn't really go the whole serious violence route. They had to skimp on blood in order to go for digital. Doesn't always work, and especially when you are talking about seriously violent situations. So yes, the original now has a point on the board. So now we are moving to acting. You have great acting in both of these movies. One is the 80s formula. However, you have moments where these people are seriously having to act like they are dying, having to do audio digital or audio dialogue replacement. You have to do situations where people are getting shot to shit, reacting to a knife in the nuts. You also have to think about how they are reacting to certain things, where it's very easy to go psychotically aggressive, like Michael Ironside and Kate Beckinsale. You got to be able to be a bad guy that also knows when to not do something, like Ironside's white-haired guy who's telling him, no, you can't shoot in this area, the dome will crack, you'll kill us all. And you actually have to sell that terror, like, oh my god, this dude's about to go nuts and whatnot. Sharon Stone, I thought, did a very good acting. Arnold Schwarzenegger, a lot of people say, oh, his acting is here and there. Honestly, I think he actually does have a lot of good range. Colin Farrell, he has that suave style of acting where he can really play suave, and he can really play otherwise as well. However, his range isn't as good as Arnold Schwarzenegger. Those are very big shoes to fill, quite literally. And I think that the acting in this case does measure in a way that is very hard to call it, because you also have the moment where Edgerton goes to visit Schwarzenegger for the whole "you're still in recall, you're still in the chair" scene. And then you have Bokeem Woodbine, who is playing with Colin Farrell, and he's trying to convince him, you're not really here, Doug, you're still in recall. Your wife's holding your hand and whatnot. And yet, he plays it in a way that is extremely convincing. It's like, okay, I took the gun away from you, but all right, well, if I'm still in his head, here, or gives the gun back to Jessica Biel. Who the fuck would do that in that sort of situation? Unless you are trying to actually sell a very elaborate scheme and delusion, and he does it very well. The acting in both movies is okay. However, when you have robotic acting where you are a very one-dimensional character, you really do have to it's very easy to basically see that as mundane. You could play a one-dimensional character very well. You got to be able to play two-dimensional characters extremely well. Now, Kate Beckinsale has the American accent down and then goes to the British accent. And then you have Colin Farrell essentially being a one-sided actor where he is purely resistance and used to be a intelligence operative. However, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was going through the whole double cross thing where he was basically saying or having Arnold Schwarzenegger be his old self guiding his new self, yet still wants his old self back because he wanted the rebels destroyed. But instead, he focuses on being the new self in order to save the day and whatnot. That bit of acting is a lot better than the remake because the remake, you have him as he just wants to do the right thing and he feels without any sort of uncertainty and without any sort of real explanation from himself. Instead, that's given over to Bryan Cranston's character to reveal that it's all lies and this and that. Well, there's just one problem. By having it done that way, you cheapen it and you make it a more defined side that he took. So yeah, the Arnold Schwarzenegger side is a lot better done. So in this case, hold on one moment. The original takes the cake on the acting. So now the original is at 2, the reboot is at 3. Right now, it's catching up. Going to leads now. So again, with the let's go back to the cast. You have Colin Farrell, Jessica Biel, Kate Beckinsale as the essential leads of the reboot. And the leads for Total Recall in the first one is Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sharon Stone, and Michael Ironside, or Rachel Ticotin if you want to go to the female leads. All three are great. However, Ticotin, Stone, and Schwarzenegger are extremely well known. Well, Ticotin not as much. However, I do believe I have seen her. I think she was also in Ernest Goes to Camp. Let me check something. I do believe she was in that movie. I'm not sure though. Hmm. Ernest Goes to Camp cast. Varney. No, that was Victoria Rachimo. Or Racimo. So, but anyway, going back to the leads, Schwarzenegger is extremely much better in his lead or in lead movies than Colin Farrell. Kate Beckinsale is very good, yes. Jessica Biel is okay, yes. Sharon Stone is also very well known for her leading. And Rachel Ticotin, she's more support. She does a good job. Where you have Colin Farrell, Jessica Biel, and Kate Beckinsale, you have two very well lead actors or a lead actor and actress, and another one who is mostly known for support characters. So both of these have a 2 lead and 1 support, where Man on Fire, Rachel Ticotin, okay. Haven't seen Man on Fire. I'm only going by what I know. So when it comes to leads, getting back to banners here and editing the score, updating it, the original takes the case. So, folks, we actually met with a good tie here. The original and the reboot are now tied. So now we are going to move to score, in which I'm going to tell you right now, folks, both movies have scores that are extremely unmemorable. So we are going to have to create a new category because unfortunately, there isn't much in the way of score for either of these movies. They're extremely not well done. So what would be a good um secondary tiebreaker? We would actually have to come up with a secondary tiebreaker. Let's see here. Hmm. Well, let's see here. Anybody or any suggestions from the comment section? Because we got cast, writing, effects, acting, leads. Let's go toward, or let's do direction. How well were these movies directed? So, secondary tie, we are going to go to direction because both of the scores for both Total Recalls are extremely background score. You don't really get much that assists with the emotional journey in the movie. So, I probably will have to check it, or I'll have to check it out. So I will look for it sometime when I get the chance, Vanya. So going in the manner of direction, Paul Verhoeven does a very good job at directing a movie. However, or we also have a good job with Len Wiseman with his direction of a movie. Now, each movies present their own challenge when it comes to directing. You have the 80s, which was a more action-packed and adrenaline pumping film. You have the 2010s, which is more nuanced and a lot more complicated, as well as you need a director who is able to tell the same story in a different way. Paul Verhoeven has a method of direction that is not afraid to skimp out on the realism of violence. Where in the 2010 direction, Len Wiseman didn't want over the top violence like the original. Instead, he wanted to focus on special effects. And while they actually did a pretty good job with the special effects, apart from some digital stuff here and there, or a few digital shots here and there, the original was directed in a way that allowed so much to, or very little to go a lot further. So let's actually look at budgetary, or let's look at the budget for Total Recall 1990. $65 million. Hold on. What on earth? $65 million budget on Total Recall. Now, how much did the movie make? $261.4 million. That's actually quite a big chunk. So now let's look at the 20, I think it was 16 or 17 budget, or 2012 rather. Okay, so 2012 budget. $125 million. So pretty much just under double the budget. So let's look at what was the earnings for it. Yikes. When you're doing 125 million, you need to make over twice the budget. And unfortunately, that didn't happen because the movie got mixed to negative reviews and only grossed 211.8 million worldwide. So while the budget was a lot higher, it still failed, where the other one is still success. And also, Verhoeven is a better director, in my opinion, than Len Wiseman. Len Wiseman wants to rely more on special effects than he does on direction and acting skill and whatnot, and possibly even practical effects. I mean, yes, there was the bit for Underworld where he went back to people in suits, and that's fine. However, I do believe that the direction was better in the Arnold Schwarzenegger film. Oh, it's not a tie anymore. The original just hit with or just took place over the reboot. While it is indeed close, folks, the original Total Recall, while I actually like the the reboot a little bit better, the original Total Recall, hey Junebug, while I actually do like the reboot a little bit better than the original is actually technically a better film. So yes, through direction and budget, you know what? I'll actually change that and whatnot. Who went further with their budget and whatnot. So let me go to banner. So direction will actually be edited to direction and budget. That will be a secondary, or direction and budget will now in further films, if we have a tie that is too close to call, that the music score can't give, we will go to, well, actually directing and budget are a little bit too are very much different. So we'll keep director, and we will also create another banner for budget. And how far the budget went. So, yes, the original Total Recall is the better film on an objective level than the one in the remake. I actually, and as I said, I like the remake better. I actually do. However, I can still acknowledge that Total Recall, the original, is actually better than the remake or the reboot. So the winner is the original Total Recall. And hello, Junebug. Good to see you. So it's no longer a tie, man. The original is the winner. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the stream. Before you go, the next one is, let's see here. What is the next one for next week? Oh, Fantastic Four versus Fan Four Stick. The Fantastic Four movie from 2003 compared to the 15 or 2016 Fantastic Four of the 2015. So I'm definitely going to have my work cut out for me on those ones. I'm going to have to bust out my Disney Plus for that. Yes, I have Disney Plus, but it's only because family also likes to use it. I barely use it. So anyway, with that out of the way, stay tuned next week for that. Plus, this month with Mara, we have Underworld 1 and 2 for the ones and twos, and she's going to get back to me in a couple or today or tomorrow with the singles. So yeah, again, folks, when I do these streams, the versus streams, I'm looking at it in real time at the analytics from what I remember of each film. I watch both films to keep them very much in my head. I watched them recently, and I did watch both of these recently. Like yesterday, I watched both of them. So I was able to basically tell which one, or having them as fresh in my mind, I could put in a little bit of talking points to keep me on track. But yes, as much as I do like the remake just a little bit better, the original in this case was the winner. So with that out of the way, folks, the other ones, let's see here. So Fantastic Four, and okay, yep. I do believe that those of you who are following me know the other ones as well. So Fantastic Four comparisons next week. The week after is Fright Night versus Fright Night, and then Mortal Kombat versus Mortal Kombat. So those are going to be the verses for the month of February. I will be coming up with a versus for next month as well, because this month's going to go by fast. Anyway, thank you to Junebug, Vanya, and Real Nerdy Review for coming in. This movie this was a close call, folks. A lot of people probably thought that, oh my God, the reboot's going to win, so I'm not going to watch anymore. And it's like, I'm sorry, but you got to watch it all the way through. You might be surprised. That happened with the last one I did, I do believe, where one was taken or was clean sweeping until, oh shit, come back from behind, win. So yes, the original is the technically better film. However, in my opinion, the reboot is slightly better in my own opinion. But through technicality and objectivity, the original Total Recall is the better one. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think between the original or the reboot? Which one do you think is better? Which one do you think is, or which one do you like in your own opinion, subjectively? Let me know all your thoughts, folks. Stay tuned for more of them coming each Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Also, stay tuned for tonight. I will be on the Barroom Podcast. Hey, Netcat. Thank you for coming in. And you like the original more. And also, thank you for dropping in. Sorry that the Twitter is not freaking allowing people to know when I go live a lot. They're kind of weird that way. I don't like that either. Anyway, thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. And Netcat Media as well, coming in at the last second. Y'all know the drill. And I will talk to you all on the next one. Tonight is the Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews channel. So that'll be 9 p.m. We're going to be talking wrestling and other stuff. So yeah, folks, always remember, stay humble.